You're inside the Satin Lounge with KiaRene. And we're with our special guest for Pillow Talk, author of The Grown Woman's Guide to Greatness, Miss Lakara Foster. Welcome back, Lakara.
Thank you so much.
As promised, Satin Lounge, let's get into these, you see my air quotes, blessings in the journey of how to achieve greatness. How to achieve greatness. Blessing number one. It reads, it's never too late. What are you referring to? It's never too late to dream, to try, to change, to what are you talking about?
I think it encompasses all of that. You know, it's never too late to be great. You know, whether that, you know, whatever that thing is that you want to do, if you want to go back to school, if you want to get a degree, if you want to write a book, if you want to own your own business, if that is your passion, if that is the thing that you desire, and it aligns with God's will, it's never too late. You know, where there's vision, He will make provision.
Like that. Yes. Yes, it's never too late, and you're not in competition with anybody either. You are a creator, not a competitor.
Yes.
Don't get me started. Okay, another blessing you talked about was getting to great. Lakara, how do we get past the fears of rejection and get to the great stuff? How do we do that?
You know, that is such a great question. And of all the interviews that I've done, I don't think anybody's ever asked me that specifically. And I actually have this exercise that I do when I'm doing workshops. And basically what it boils down to is when, you know, the thing that God wants you to do becomes more important than anything else. You know, take, for example, I know I had issues with codependency.
Okay.
And I had, you know, abandonment issues. And when I sat down and I thought about it and I realized that those two things were holding me back from the thing that I really want to do, which is travel and speak and, you know, do seminars and all of these great things.
Right.
And one day I'm meditating and I'm talking to God, and God says, well, I do want you to travel. I do want you to go where you want to go, but you don't like being by yourself. So how am I going to give you that?
How are you going to do it?
How am I going to send you? Right. And truly, honestly, in that moment, I was healed. In that moment.
Just when to acknowledge it.
Right. Yeah. And I said to myself that I didn't want anything to be more important than the work that I knew that God had for me to do. Because that was my purpose. That was my divine assignment. And I didn't want anything to be more important than that. So, you know, all of my issues had to go to the wayside. And I tell people, whatever it is that you're stuck on, whatever it is, and I talk about it in Lesson 2 in Maslow's hierarchy of needs and how we're all stuck, you know, at some place unless you're in actualization. But wherever it is you're stuck at, until you get unstuck, until you negotiate that need, you know, a part of that is realizing that I have to do this thing.
You have to, and make that more important than your fears and your whatevers. Yes. I see. I understand that. Well, let's move on to don't be afraid to give up the good to get to the great. Referencing, I think in this chapter you were referencing validation, and I love this quote by you. It says, be unapologetically you. You know, what was your experience in embracing this in your own journey, Lakara, to greatness? How did you blossom past this point of, you know, just settling for what's in front of you?
I think one of my own experiences was being afraid to give up my good job and my good benefits. And I struggled with it for a while. I was at my desk, and there was this particular book. I'd wanted to write something like this for a while, but nothing would come. And so one day I was sitting at work, and God said, okay, it's time to write that book. And I said, okay, but I don't have time now because I have this job and I have to do this thing. Right. And so a couple of days later, my boss comes in and tells me that I'm being laid off.
Okay. Well, all righty then. I guess that's your answer.
So we have plenty of time now, right?
Yes, you do, right?
Time now. And so but in that moment, I wasn't afraid. And I haven't been afraid since, you know, and I have watched God, like, literally work miracles in my life to provide for me and not looking back, you know, and it was a good job, but now I have a great life.
That sounds fascinating. So that's how you get past good to great.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, don't settle for less. You mentioned a method called the concept of actualization. Can you break that down for us? I saw that in your book.
Certainly. There's a psychologist, and his name is Abraham Maslow, and he came up with the hierarchy of needs. And it's a pyramid, if you will, with, kind of starting from the bottom, going to, where it's large up to the top.
Like a triangle.
And what he suggests, yes, like a triangle. And what he suggests is that there's 4 levels at the bottom, if you will. And he says that those are our deficiency needs.
Okay.
These are things that we're going to always need. We're never going to run out of needing these things. And so at the very bottom, you have your physiological needs. So you have food, water, sex, all of those things that you need on a physiological, biological level. Yeah.
Carry on. Carry on.
And on and as long as you need those things, you can't negotiate to the next level. Well, the next level is our safety needs. And so that's when we buy our alarm system. We have guns. We have insurance. We have all of these things that make us feel safe.
Okay.
And then once you have that need negotiated, the next level is your
love and belonging.
Your love, love and belonging. So, of course, you have your family and you have your relationships and the groups that you belong to, your sororities, your fraternities, and you feel good about being in those. And then the next level is your esteem need. So, it's not just about
the
being
one that's tough,
in this group, right? It's about, I want to be the president of this group now.
Okay.
I want to lead this group. And so that's what your esteem is.
Okay.
Right. So Maslow says that 98% of the world is stuck somewhere on those needs. Okay. So it's like feed me, protect me, love me, respect me. So, right. So those are our deficiency needs. So he says until you negotiate those needs, you can move into your actualization needs when you where you figure out what your purpose is, and then you are serving your purpose. Well, the revelation for me was, and it was interesting because it kind of went back to your question of, getting to the great, stuck on this pyramid.
And my philosophy also is that, we are made in the image of the Creator. So we have the attributes to supply everything we need. Yes. It's all within anyway. So
exactly.
It's if we can really believe that or trust in that, I believe it really takes that fear away, and you just focus on the purpose or the task at hand. You don't really focus on the lack of the issues that may arise. You just focus on the goal and get it done. And it's easier said, of course, than done. But I think when we maybe possibly in this pyramid at some point, we'll realize that we have everything that we need within, and we'll move forward to getting the great.
For people to step outside of the illusion, and to realize that a lot of it is an illusion that is created.
That's
and this illusion is to keep you feeling like you need these things.
The illusion of lack. Something. Imagine that. Go ahead.
Oh, yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Right. It's just an illusion. You have everything that you need. You have all the skills, and what you don't have will be provided for as you step out and do what you're supposed to do. You hear that, Satin Lounge? Are you listening to me? Are you listening to Lakara? Are you listening to us? Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I get excited. Because there's so many talented people listening to us right now who know they should be, on the ball, doing what they need to do, and they allow fear to stop them from doing it. Fear comes in many different faces, but whatever the fear is, we need to not let it be more important than the purpose, like you mentioned earlier.
Definitely.
That's the whole point. There are just so many life-changing tools in this book, The Grown Woman's Guide to Greatness. One of the